What's going on, everybody? It's your host, the Sports Moose, here with this week's episode of $10 Sports Risky Business. This week, of course, go over last week. We talk about NFL Week 3, another great slate of games. We get you ready. $10 parlays on there. Moose's Monster Teasers on there. The 5 is on there. And, of course, some gifts and some keepaways. All that and more on this week's episode of $10 Sports. Here we go for NFL Week 3. Let's hit that intro. And welcome back. NFL Week 3 edition of $10 Sports Risky Business. I am, of course, your host, the Sports Moose, here on the Sports Moose channel on Facebook and YouTube. You'll see all the socials right there down below. And, of course, before we get going, kind reminder. Now, if you guys out there haven't subscribed or liked or followed us on Facebook or YouTube, you make sure to do that. Fun reminder, go ahead and click subscribe, click follow if you're on Facebook or on Twitter or even on Twitch as well. Be a huge favor. Want to get to that 100 subscriber mark on YouTube. Let's just get our custom URL. And of course, the more the merrier on our other channels. Make sure you click subscribe. Hit that bell to get the alerts as well. I know what you're thinking. Moose, not wearing the same shirt. That's right. Got a brand new shirt for the Week 3 episode, thankfully. Couldn't believe that. Wearing Bucko Bruce 2 weeks in a row. I think it brought me some bad luck. We'll, of course, go over how we performed in Week 2 in a little bit. But let's talk about Week 2. Because there were some pretty amazing games. Some heartbreakers as well. Plenty of heartbreakers. The sheer joy of Minnesota missing that field goal, then Seattle basically walk-off safetying themselves, and the Titans coming back for a very improbable victory. I kind of wish I did some live betting on that one. I didn't get a chance to see the live line to see what Tennessee was paying at its highest odds. That would have been nice, but I had a 4 p.m. parlay, and again, this isn't. I'll do some bets from time to time that aren't on the show. I like doing like a 4 p.m. parlay. I picked all the winners so far. All that was left was the Minnesota game and the Tennessee game, and I'm already just reveling in sorrow. Can't believe Minnesota's going to pull this win off. I was already sad. I was like, man, I just can't hit anything today. And they miss that field goal, and I go absolutely nuts. I'm like, yes, I think we hit our 4 p.m. parlay. And then game switches over to overtime in Seattle. And the Seahawks just absolutely jump on my heart, stomp on it, the old curb stomp. And there goes my 4 p.m. parlay. But that's neither here nor there. We're here to talk about the bets we actually have on the record, right? Let's talk about Week 2 a little bit. Great start to the week. Really nail-biter between the New York Football Giants and your Washington Football Team. Over by quite a bit as well. I think the line closed up around 42, 41. And I think it was a combined 59 points there. Was that a 30-29 score, I believe? With Washington Football Team coming out on top. Another heartbreaking loss. The New York Giants. If you're a fantasy player like me, of course, Daniel Jones having a pretty epic fantasy day, but they can't get those wins in the W column. It's brutal. Absolutely brutal. Kind of a clean game as well from Daniel Jones. I don't know if he had a personal turnover or not. Again, heartbreaking if you're a Giants fan to really keep seeing them lose like that. Got to watch Bears Bengals in Justin Fields experiments. Is that going to be a thing? Week 3 it is. Of course, Matt Nagy coming out this week saying that Justin Fields is the guy with Andy Dalton able to play due to injury. That was a close game as well. Bears defense really on fire. I love the Texans. I want them to be my AFC team so bad. They're at least going to be my cover team, my team that's going to cause some problems. But what do you make of them now? What do you make of the Texans now without Tyrod Taylor? I mean, this Stanford quarterback guy comes in, the Davis Mills, and almost gets the job done. At least they covered, right? I mean, honestly, if Tyrod Taylor stays in there, part of me was thinking the Texans might have actually pulled this one off. But nevertheless, covering the plus 12.5 against the Browns, I don't know if the Texans are as bad as we think they are. Are they going to make some noise? Are they frisky? I'll have to wait and see. Let's have to see if we picked them in week 3 as well. Bills, Dolphins, kind of a snore fest. Bills absolutely annihilating the Dolphins, especially with Tua going out with what's being called a rib injury. Saints, Panthers was one that I think a lot of people got wrong, especially after that Jameis Winston miracle week number 1. I guess it's a miracle now. Not sure if the LASIK was reversible. A couple bad picks thrown by Jameis. Saints fans, if you're out there, it's just part of the Jameis experience. Someone who lived through it for 5 years. Still have my Jameis Winston jersey hanging somewhere here in the man cave. It's just part of it. You live and die by the INT. Who else played here? Of course, Bucks Falcons. Basically what we expected. Huge game for Mike Edwards and the Bucks defense. Cowboys Chargers, I think, was a little bit more low scoring than everyone thought. It seemed like offenses kind of imploded as they were getting close to scoring. But of course, the nail biters, the pretty exciting games of the afternoon. Talked about it already. Cardinals and Vikings, and of course the Seahawks Titans game going to overtime. Head scratcher, another one. Ravens and Chiefs. I went to bed thinking the Chiefs are going to win that one. I, in fact, updated all my records on the 5 and all my picks to reflect that I had gone to bed thinking the Chiefs were going to win that one. And when I saw that score, I was like, man, this is what a year it's already going to be. What a year it's already going to be. Bucks scores 2-0. Wonder if that changes this week against the Rams. Basically, it's going to be picking what week are the Bucks most likely to lose. Got a little bit of a tough slate coming right at the Los Angeles Rams. Then going up finally Sunday Night Football for New England. Play up at Gillette Stadium. Let's jump right into week number 3 and let's go over the slate of games, starting with the Thursday night football matchup. Texans are in it. Texans Panthers. I don't know if I've been this excited for a Texans Panthers game before, mostly because of the unknown. Spoiler alert, Texans are part of my array of picks, not necessarily in the official $10 parlay, but definitely on the Moose Pick'ems official pick. Texans plus 8.5 coming right up. But kind of as a quick preview, the question now is we have to ask, are the Panthers good? Are the Panthers? I don't think I expected much from the Panthers. Everyone, of course, thinking this division was already given to the Bucks, which it more or less after Jameis's. I was a little panicky after week 1 with Jameis's performance. Really looking forward to that. The Halloween matchup, I think, in New Orleans is the first time the Bucks and Saints meet. But now the Panthers are making some noise. Sam Darnold looking pretty good. It's amazing what you can do when you're not on the Jets. And of course, Christian McCaffrey back from injury. Sam Darnold with some actual weapons to throw to. That defense looked pretty good. Defense looked pretty good against the Saints. Confusing Jameis Winston, forcing some turnovers, and ultimately coming out ahead. I think the Saints, only 6 points, right? 24-6, I think. 22-6. I don't know what the final of that game was, but enough for Saints fans to be wondering, wow, where is what is our offense? Is our offense the Green Bay Packers game offense, or is our offense somewhere in between? Is this the outcome of most of our games? Jameis Winston throwing 3 picks or a couple turnovers and fumbles. Results may vary, but we'll have to wait and see. Excited for Thursday night. See where the Panthers are at, and the Texans, and Davis Mills. Davis Mills, now the heir apparent to Tyrod Taylor. What are some of the most notable names that have been floated around? Justin Herbert, of course, last year, Tyrod Taylor losing the throne to him with that freak accident with the punctured lung. Was it Josh Allen that came in after Tyrod Taylor in Buffalo? He's had some bad luck. I'm personally a fan. Or Baker Mayfield, I think, might have actually been in Cleveland. It's getting some bad breaks for Tyrod Taylor. All right, let's power through some of the rest of the slate here. Big game, I think. One of the first ones I circle, Bears and Browns. Bears and Browns. This is a huge one because the Justin Fields experience is coming to a field near you. We're excited for that. Finally getting the reins due to Andy Dalton's injury, like we mentioned before. Of course, the Browns really looking like a complete team. Question still is out if OBJ is in the action. I think a lot of the chatter has been correct that the Browns look so cohesive. He's more of a distraction and potentially messing up the juju that's there. So we'll have to wait and see. We'll preview some of the picks in a little bit with the Browns and the Bears. Right now, the over's 50.5. I think we're going to take the over in that one. I think it's going to be a Justin Fields coming out party. Part of me really wants to take the Bears straight up here. It could be a potential good value pick in the around plus 200, plus 250 on the odds there if you just pick the Bears straight up. Bears and Browns, especially with that running game, both teams, honestly, Dave Montgomery doing well to open up the season, and of course Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt really taking care of business for the Browns on the offensive side of the ball. Baker Mayfield also, I think, 81% passer completion in the first 2 games, which is an NFL record to open up the season through week 2. So Baker's gotten better. Browns are getting better. That's just going to be a good football game. I don't know if the Bears are quite there yet, but their defense looked damn good against the Bengals last week. So I'm excited for that one. Another game on the lookout list. Big Patriots Saints, right? Patriots Saints used to be so exciting. I know we only got it either in the Super Bowl or every 4 years when we had Drew Brees and Tom Brady actually meeting up to play. Maybe not as exciting. We've got Mac Jones and we've got Jameis Winston, but I guarantee you there's going to be some great action with Bill Belichick. Maybe forcing Jameis into some errors, or maybe once again we get another Herculean, crazy effort from the Saints offense with Jameis at the helm, and Jameis beating Belichick. Wouldn't that be something to see that happen in Gillette Stadium? Right, the Saints still haven't made it home. No, the Saints. No, they're at Gillette. That's right. So we'll wait and see. I'm excited for that one. I think that's a 1 p.m. game as well. Used to be must see. Of course, Chargers Chiefs, another 1 p.m. game. Goes without saying. Nice key AFC West battle. And we talked about it last week's show. I have a sexy pick out there. The Chargers, hot take, potentially dethroning the Chiefs. I don't know about that. I know we're still waiting for the Chiefs offensive line to gel after the disaster that it was during the playoffs last year. Chargers looking good. I like the way it's not their time yet. Who knows when it may be their time with Patrick Mahomes in the same division. But Justin Herbert, great draft pick. Thankfully, new coaching regime out there to really get him settled down after some of the struggles from last year and the schemes from last year. I like the Chargers. Eckler has been the real deal. I wasn't a believer but he can absolutely carry that load by himself. Good to see Keenan Allen alerts popping up on the fantasy wire as well, making some noise. And a few other key players. Mike Williams still making some noise for the Chargers. Moving on to the 4 p.m. games. Really excited for, of course, Bucs-Rams. Going to be a preview of the NFC Championship game this year. Different look Rams, of course, with Matt Stafford at the helm. Excited to see how that turns out. And then Seahawks-Vikings. God, these two teams, I got to stop betting on both of them. I couldn't believe the Seahawks. I thought the Seahawks were back. Those first two, that first half, even part of that third quarter, it's like, oh, the Seahawks are back. 2-0, here we come. They're going to be a force to be reckoned with in the West. And then it all fell apart, ruining my 4 p.m. parlay. And the Vikings just continue to be the team that we thought they were, with, especially with Kirk Cousins at the helm at quarterback. I think he's the literal barrier and hump for them to get any better. Till he's there, I don't know. They're going to probably win a game they should lose, which might be this one. So you better believe this will be on the keep away list. And of course, Monday Night Football, the NFC Beast is back. Cowboys, Eagles. I think Cowboys are the host. Looking forward to that one with the new look Eagles. Jalen Hurts looking great. Of course, always great to see Dak back in action. Cowboys offense looked a little sluggish out west against the Chargers, but we'll have to wait and see. Looks like the reemergence of the running game with Tony Pollard, with Zeke getting looking a little bit slower than usual. Can the Cowboys get it done against division rival Philadelphia Eagles, who are looking good as well, with Jalen Hurts bringing a different dimension to their attack? So let's quickly talk stats here. Doing a little bit better job keeping stats on our picks and in general what's happening in the NFL. So week 2, I know I posted about this on Twitter, very following at Sports Moose Show for the latest gambling news, especially during the weekends, always live tweeting. But week 2, actually 50% of the favorites covering, which I believe that was down to 25% during week 1. 4 favorites covered, or 4 favorites covered in week 1, 8 covering in week 2, getting us a total of 12. And then overs 8 hitting this week. I think only 7 hit last week to get us a total of 15. So 50% week 2 on overs and favorites covering. But what I think is really interesting is you're looking, points seem to be down a little bit this year. Vegas setting an average, so when you're looking at an average of 16 games, about 48.4 set was the average, 48.5 around there, and only 47.3 points scored on average in total for all games in week 2. Then the average spread was, of course, minus 5.6 or minus 6.6. In reality, we saw minus 5.6 when the game was all said and done. Of course, there are some skewing statistics there. The big 35-0 win for Buffalo against Miami really skewing some stats there. We'll have to collect a little bit more data to make that somewhat useful. But again, through the first 2 weeks, only 37.5% of favorites have covered. Overs hitting actually under 50%, so about 47%. So 53% if you're an unders better. And again, through 2 weeks, the average, only 47.1 points scored on average. And the set point total before you put your wagers in, right around 48. And then this is really interesting. 5.1, I think, has been the average set game spread. And what we've seen, especially with a lot of the underdogs winning in week 1, is almost an even keel set against a spread. So what we're seeing here is still kind of the balance shifting for the underdogs. So you got to keep that in mind when you're looking at the index for coverage for your point spread bet. So Vegas gifts, I think maybe really 2. I don't really understand how Bengals at Steelers and Bengals is only Pittsburgh -3. I mean, maybe it's some of the offensive woes that the Steelers have experienced against the Raiders, namely not being able to pull that one off. So I'm not sure. The Bengals, well, they look okay. I mean, they struggled a little bit against Chicago. Joe Burrow with 3 interceptions back to back. Maybe a little bit of a bounce back game for the Bengals, and they're anticipating a tough home game. I don't know. I thought -3. I think Pittsburgh wins this game, and I think they win by at least one score, at least more than 3 points, I would say. And of course, New England -3 for me was puzzling as well. Maybe that line moves a little bit as we get closer to the weekend. Again, not as exciting as Drew Brees versus Tom Brady, but the potential for some points there. I think I know Belichick's taking it slow and steady with Mac Jones. And of course, you never know what you're going to get with Jameis, or maybe we do. New England -3, I think, is a gift there, especially when considering the slow, methodical approach of Belichick and how he's trying to develop Mac Jones in that offense. And some of the strides they've made on defense as well. I mean, I think New England's defense is efficient, and they can control some of the game. I mean, they're not dominant, but I think the New England defense does a great job when they're on the field to protect whatever lead they have, if they have one, and of course doing their best job to get the offense back on the field. So overall, pretty efficient for New England. I fully expect that to be easily covered by the Patriots. Couple of trap games to consider. Really don't want to have any action unless I have to. I think I have to do some of these on the 5, but no action in the Tennessee Indianapolis game. I like the point total. I like the spread. I just don't think I'm confident enough, especially after the experience I've had these last 2 weeks, with picking a side on where to land. Same thing with KC and the Chargers. This was a competitive game last year. Not much has changed. In fact, I think maybe the Chargers are a little bit better. I just don't want to bet against KC. I don't think you make money betting against the Chiefs. I like the point total, 55. Probably going to be a shootout. Kansas City right now to win by a touchdown. I think it's closer than that, but I'm not confident enough to put my money where my mouth is on this one. And then, of course, my frustration with Seattle and the Vikings staying away. Don't even want to bet on it at all. I like the point total. Could be another shootout. See Kirk Cousins is able to throw as many touchdowns as Russell Wilson. So this is a game that could get into the 60s. Right now, Seattle with the moderate edge on the road. Don't even want to get into it. Leaving this one alone. So the official week 2 picks, not bad. 7-3 on the Big Ten that we put on there. Of course, a couple misses on the $10 parlay. Orleans -3.5 was a heartbreaker. Arizona -3.5 too. Kind of didn't even matter. I was cheering on again at the game because I had a 4 p.m. parlay of just picking the winners, and joy when Arizona won. But again, those Seahawks really get me at the end. So 2 for 4 on the $10 parlay. But we hit almost all of our other just picks. And Detroit was looking good a couple nights ago for a little bit as well. So might have been almost a clean slate on some of our picks for you. Over 48 hitting, of course, with Cleveland and the Texans. New England playing pretty well against the Jets. All sorts of havoc. Not quite seeing ghosts, Zach Wilson saying, but have a tough day for the Jets there. Rams straight up winning. I think that was an overtime game against the Colts. Under 45 was a pretty easy one for Bears and Bengals. Those Texans covering plus 12.5 points against the Browns. And we talked about the Lions. So pretty good slate of games for last week, going 7-3. That takes us to this week. These are Moose's official picks for week number 3. Start off with the Sunday night game. Under 50, I think, for Green Bay and San Francisco. Totally not convinced that the Packers are back yet. tough game against the Saints. Maybe it was an anomaly. Looked a lot better against, but almost everyone does, against the Detroit Lions. Playing a real team in the 49ers. This is a game I think the 49ers win pretty easily. Again, not confident enough to put money on the spread or anything like that. But I like the under here. I think it's going to be a defensive struggle. 49ers putting up a few points, probably just a few more points than the Packers. I think it's going to be a nice back and forth game. So under 50 for Packers and the 49ers. 4 p.m. game. Oh, I said I wouldn't pick them, but I'm not putting money on it. But I'm gonna pick it. I'm gonna do Seattle minus the 1.5. I know I said stay away from it, but if you have to, go ahead and take those Seahawks 1.5 on the road. I trust their offense a little bit more than the offense for the Vikings. I think the only concerning part is if Dalvin Cook has any sort of half or game like Derrick Henry had in the second half of Week 2's game between the Titans and Seahawks, then we got problems with the Seahawks once again. Maybe that run defense isn't quite back. Broncos, Jets. Are you a degenerate if you're betting on this one? I like the Broncos. Broncos are looking good. I think the Jets have to bounce back here, right? And show that they have a little bit of a pulse. 4 p.m. game out west in Denver. Over 41 here. I think this was the lowest total so far. Still showing that it's 41. Broncos favored by 11. Leaving all that business out there. Just going over 41. I think the teams get together and score some points in the Mile High City. My Thursday night pick, I put 1 p.m. there. Actually should be 8 p.m. But Houston plus 8.5. We're on the Davis Mills bandwagon, given the success that all the quarterbacks that have come after Tyrod Taylor have had. And it's going to depend on being able to stop Christian McCaffrey. On second thought, this actually might be a pretty terrible pick. But I like Houston here to cover the spread. Not saying they're going to win the game, but stay within 10 points, 9 points of the Panthers in this Thursday night matchup. Could be talking about a 3-0 Panthers team after this week. Las Vegas -4. Probably should have been on the gift list. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe they're expecting a great performance from Brissett. I like the Raiders at home here against the Dolphins with no Tua, which may be a little bit of addition by subtraction. Who knows? And then taking the over 45 Justin Fields time with the Browns. So the official $10 parlay. You'll see it over on your right. You're right. Taking over 52. We're going to throw an over on the $10 parlay. This one coming on Monday Night Football, so this could be the anchor leg of the $10 parlay. Over 52, Eagles at Cowboys. I think there's going to be plenty of points scored here. Talked about New England and the Patriots. New England and the Saints. New England -3. Got to take that one at 1 p.m. game on Sunday. Another 1 p.m. game on Sunday. Taking Pittsburgh -3 over the Bengals. I think that's a slam dunk. Then this is really the one that I think is going to give us trouble here. This is a toss-up. Right now I have Bucks money line. Bucks -130 at LA. Perfectly winnable game by LA. All it takes is a little bit of a bad day for the Buccaneers offense. And Matt Stafford maybe lighting it up against the Bucks. This is the first time the Bucks are seeing Stafford with weapons. So I have to wait and see what happens Sunday afternoon with the Bucks and Rams game. That could be America's Game of the Week, right? Absolutely right. That'd be awesome. No, I'm blocking it because I couldn't use the green screen. My shirt's throwing it off. I need to get a normal shirt that actually works on green screen. 116.08, I believe, is the potential winnings for the $10 parlay of the week. Last week's the 5. Of course, you remember our competition with Emrod. We decided to keep this going to see what we end up with at the end of week 18 this year. 2 and 3, and this one was I pre-filled in the Moose Green for KC and Baltimore when I went to bed, just thinking that the Chiefs are going to pull that one off. Boy, was I wrong. A few others were wrong as well. Got New England -5.5 against the Jets. This was an easy one. Then Washington pulling it out the end of the game against the New York Giants. Got hurt on the other ones, though. Of course, Seattle -6 ended up being a pretty big dud. Pittsburgh -6.5. The Raiders pulling off the victory. And Baltimore. We had KC straight up. Baltimore with another 1-point victory. Lots of 1-point deficits in the NFL during week 2. And of course, this week's the 5. We had the wheel spin. And these were the games and spread or straight ups that we were given. Got some 3 money lines and 2 spreads. Going San Francisco -3.5. Tennessee on the money line against Indianapolis. Taking the Bears on the money line +250. Jets +11. I love that plus sign. It always brings you joy. Gives you something to cheer for. Jets +11 against the Broncos. And Arizona just straight up against the Jaguars. That's pretty much clinched already. Go ahead and put that moose green. Then to close us out tonight, the big tease. I've gotten so close on these. I think I missed only 1 or 2 legs last week. So this one will pay, I think, $90 on 10. We bought 6 points. So Jets, Broncos, we're going over 41.5. That turns into over 35.5. Cardinals bringing it down to -1.5 against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Hopefully they win by more than 1. The Ravens and Lions, again, bringing that down to -1.5. Steelers +3 against the Bengals. Liking that one. Under 48 becomes 54. So under 54 for the Colts and Titans. I think that's going to be a tighter game than we think, especially with question marks at the QB position for the Colts. Bucks goes to +4.5. So even if they lose and keep it within a field goal, I'll take that. Then, of course, we went under 61.5 for Bucks Rams. I know the last few games the Bucks and the Rams have played have been kind of crazy. I think we're going to get a lower scoring game here, especially with the Bucks defense excelling right now and Rams having some pressure to show and flex muscles that they belong in the NFC playoff and championship picture. So that's it for the NFL Week 3 show here at $10 Sports. Really appreciate you sticking it out. Some great picks out there. Hopefully we make some money. Hopefully we make you some money. Lots of great stuff coming up on the channel as well. Hoping to have an update on the channel later this week or this weekend. Thunderdome Podcast. You know it's 3 weeks away from NHL season. We will be right back at that in the next few weeks, as well as hopefully getting Sports Moose and friends, getting some guests on the show, and just talk about sports, have a good time for our live show. Hope you've had a great time with us. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like and subscribe. One last reminder, really helps us out. And hope to see you next time, week 4, next week, same time, same place. It's been your host, Sports Moose. See you next time here on $10 Sports Risky Business. Take care.